Hey guys, today we are starting our 4 week series that we're going to be rotating through, and everybody's doing something different on every day. So, my topic today is confidence. How do we define confidence and how do we gain confidence? It's an interesting topic because confidence is something that I think we gain by challenging our fears. So, all of us have fears and that's normal, but we gain confidence when we overcome things that we're afraid of or get better at things that we're afraid of to the point that we feel like we can do it and we are no longer afraid of it, or we are less afraid of it every time we do it. So with eating disorder recovery, developing confidence in ourselves means that we start to develop self-esteem by challenging what we fear. So that may be something. When I started recovery, I'll give you, let's start at square one where I was. Okay, for me, developing confidence was, first off, I was with a therapist that was not helping my eating disorder and making it worse, and actually affected my confidence level that I did not feel like I could recover, and I felt like I was a completely lost cause. So my first step in developing confidence was actually meeting with a dietitian, and it took me a month to set up an appointment. And even after I set up an appointment, I parked my car about 3 blocks away from the center for change, which is where I've received treatment. And I walked there and I was not confident. I had all these fears about going to treatment. I have fears that that I knew were going to see me. I went through every measure to make sure that nobody knew about my eating disorder. And I was not confident that I was even going to recover. I was kind of cynical, actually. But that was my first step. And from that point, challenging the therapy I was in, and I was not confident, even though I knew that the therapy I was currently in wasn't helping my eating disorder. I didn't realize how much it was hurting me. But it was scary for me to go and find a new therapist and feel like I had to start all over as far as building trust with somebody. But it ended up, being the best thing I could have done. And that was another step in facing a fear that I had. And so each time you made that step, I developed more and more confidence that, and at first it didn't seem like confidence, but those were the first steps. And it could be something as simple as challenging yourself with foods that aren't safe foods. For me, it was, just say, for example, I would eat egg whites, but I couldn't eat egg yolks. That was one of my food rules. And, it was just totally taboo because that was what I had incorporated to my food rules. So one week, one of my food challenges was just to eat one whole egg with the yolk. And, I like the yolks, but it was like totally taboo. That was like an emotional experience, but those little tiny baby steps are what lead you up to being confident enough to make progress in recovery. After I was in recovery for a while, getting rid of my scale, I threw it off the roof and had a whole funeral for it and everything, but that was one thing that I had to learn, to be confident in myself and not define myself by numbers. That's very difficult. After getting rid of my scale, a few months later, it was getting rid of the skinny jeans that sat in the back of my closet that I defined my worth by, that I probably would have never fit into just because I don't have the bone structure to fit into. And so doing those things and having to rely within myself to find self-esteem and not place it constantly on these external unrealistic expectations was very difficult. But when I got rid of those crutches, it forced me to sit with my feelings and to learn that it was okay to feel bad. And so learning to sit with your emotions, that can be a very difficult thing. But when you sit with your emotions, you know, they kind of build and build and build, and part of the problem is, I think, we never let ourselves get to the point where we're at our emotional peak because we're so afraid of it. But when you're finally able to get to a point where you're at your emotional peak, it goes down. So you might feel depressed or sad or in anguish, and you feel like you're just at the bottom of a pit. And when you allow yourself to sit with that and feel it in a safe place, in a safe environment, it starts to resolve itself, and you start to feel confident that you can handle those emotions, and realize that they're not going to last forever. And that's part of the problem with eating disorders, is we're constantly avoiding our emotions. And so my next step in confidence building, when I got a little bit of a handle on that, and, you know, not totally, but I was getting better at it, is I decided to go back to school. And that was a huge thing. It was also a huge confidence builder. And now I'm going to graduate school, and I'm going into a social work program, and that's something that I'm facing a major fear by doing that. And it's probably the ultimate challenge for me, because when I was a teenager, I had a very bad therapist, and basically went through a lot of brainwashing. And, you know, I won't go into all the details, but it really messed up my life for a long time. And so I hated therapists for a long time, and I never wanted, and when I first started college, when I was like 17, I had the goal of becoming a psychologist, and then because of this therapist, it kind of ruined my, put a bitter taste in my mouth. So I quit that, and I went to midwifery school. I became a direct entry midwife, and I'm still doing that. But I felt like I was at a point in my life where I needed to pursue other career goals that I have, and helping other people who are going through similar experiences as I am. And, you know, but that for me is terrifying. I go through periods where the thought of doing what I'm doing is overwhelming, and brings up a lot of pain from that therapy that I experienced. But I'm developing confidence as I face that, and I'm putting myself in a situation where I have to be the role model, and I have to, I'm in charge of a girls group with young girls, and I have to help them. And so in order to help them, I have to be working on myself. Not that I have to be perfect, because I'm not. I'm still in recovery, and I still struggle sometimes, but putting myself out there like that forces me to think about things before I, if I feel like using my eating disorder, I'm more apt to think about, what am I doing, what am I standing for, in order to help other people's lives be better, and how can I do that if I'm not willing to sacrifice myself and face my fears and my feelings and do my best to overcome those things. So that to me is what developing confidence is. And my kids are screaming in the back room and falling apart. School is starting in 2 days, and I'm really glad, because it's the end of summer and I'm about ready to go crazy with them. All the fun of having children. So anyway, being a mother is the ultimate confidence challenge too, let me tell you. So I hope that helps, and I'm sure that everybody else on this channel will have great things to say throughout the week. So have a good day.